Record.
All right, guys. So my name is Kate with Scott Leroy Marketing. Today we are going to be covering print marketing within Command. Our primary focus for today's class is taking a look at creating a flyer for you guys to utilize through Command, as well as taking a quick look at that listing presentation within Command. We'll also take a brief look at the buyer presentation. It is very similar to the listing presentation, but we will just take a quick peek at that as well. In order to get started, the first thing we want to do is go to Command. So if you're not familiar, you can access Command by going to agent.kw.com and signing in with your username and password. Your username is not case sensitive, however, your password is. If you're experiencing issues signing in, we do recommend hitting that little eyeball when you're trying to sign in. It will allow you to view your password. If it looks correct and you're still having errors signing in, make sure there's no spaces before or after the password. That can sometimes hold you up too from signing in. So once we're in here though, the first thing we want to do is head over to designs. So if you're not familiar with these little applets over here on the left-hand side, you can hover over them till you find the one you're looking for. You can also hit this red and white KW up top to expand that so that you can easily see those without hovering over them. Again, we're looking at designs today. That's where our print materials are going to be. So that does look like a paintbrush with a canvas behind it. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. Now, we are brought into our designs library here. This is going to look different for everyone. These designs are designs that I've created within my own Command account. So if you don't have anything here, not to worry. It just means maybe you haven't created anything within Command just yet. So you don't have to worry about that too much. We're going to take a look at this import design button first. So if you are following along, go ahead and click on that import design. This is going to bring us into where you can access, again, designs that you've already created. You can also access the templates, various images that you can search for or find. Again, my projects. And then we're going to first take a look at this assets section. So when we're creating these marketing pieces, the first thing we want to do is make sure we have our assets uploaded so that we can easily pull in those pieces into our marketing. So you'll notice at the top there are Keller Williams International assets, and then you have my assets below. So the first ones are the KWI provided assets. You can have colors and fonts that you are going to use on a regular basis. KW has included theirs. And then, of course, some fonts. You also have images. The KWR provided are mostly stock type images that you can utilize for various pieces of marketing. They also have folders with different types of images to make it a little bit easier to find what you're looking for. So for example, if you're looking for house exteriors, you can come here and find a bunch of different stock images that you can utilize on your designs. Next is text. For KWRI assets, the only thing they have included is the disclaimer, ownership statement, each office independently owned and operated. Then we have logos. Now these are going to be the KW provided logos. So they have Keller Williams University. That has a few different ones. They have events. I believe there's a red day in there. If you're a luxury agent, you have the luxury logos. Miscellaneous is going to be your NAR and equal housing logos. You have the labs, and then you have some generic Keller Williams logos that you can use on various pieces of marketing. Next, we have elements. Elements are kind of like little symbols or icons that you use on a regular basis for pieces of marketing that you may want to have easily accessible. Again, KWRI has some. They are, for example, email, a website, location, phone, mobile icons that you can use for various pieces of marketing. There's also the video assets and then files. For KWRI, all they have is the style guide and design addendum. Now again, those are the KWRI provided assets that will be able to be used on any pieces of marketing you create within Command. You also have My Assets. So super important to update these. It just makes it so much easier for you to move through your designs if you already have your image for like your headshot added, things like that. So we'll just go through these briefly. You have color palettes. So if you've branded yourself as an individual or team, and you have a set color palette that you use on all of your designs, you can add those here. You just simply hit add palette and you can start adding in those colors, whatever colors you might be adding. Super easy to do that. Let's go with the gray. Oops. And you don't have to fill all of them. If you're not using all of the colors, you don't have to pick every single one. It is just based on whatever your designs are and whatever you're using. You can then name that palette, but again, this just makes it easier for you to stay consistent with your marketing if you do have a set color scheme that you like to use. You can also add in your own fonts so that you can be consistent with those as well on all of your various pieces of marketing. You can upload fonts or search them. I like to search them. It's just really easy. When you're looking through these, if you find one that you like, you just simply toggle on that little button and that will add it over to your fonts. So we'll go ahead and add it. Next, we have images. This is where you would want to upload your headshot. Again, it's way easier to have it included in your assets for your designs instead of having to upload it every time you want to use it, so that you can easily grab it. It also allows you to easily remove a background. So if you want a headshot without a background, this is a great place to do it. You can create folders if you have old headshots or team headshots or things like that. You can do that as well. To remove that background, it's super easy. Click the 3 little dots on your image, hit remove background, and it will let you know that it's working down here, and then it will go ahead and remove that. Now, I obviously don't need 2 of Scott, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. But again, you can also rename these, add as many photos as you want, all of that good stuff. Text. This is going to be where you can bring in your specific text that you may be using on a regular basis. So if you're adding your branded app URL to a lot of your marketing pieces, you may want to have that add as a text asset. That way you're not typing that out every time or having to go look it up. It's already in here in your assets for you to pull. Same for your bio or address or website, anything like that that you may be using on a regular basis. Definitely easier, just have it included as one of your assets. Logos. This is where you would want to keep either your branded logo if you've branded yourself either as a team or an individual agent. It's also where you can keep your Market Center specific logos. Now, I like to go through where to find those Market Center specific logos because not everyone knows where to find those. In order to find your Market Center specific logo, you'll go to KW Connect. From there, you're going to go to Resources and Marketing. And then from there, you're going to click on this Logos and Branding in the top left corner. From there, if you scroll down, you'll notice that you'll find some more generic Keller Williams logos as you go that you can absolutely utilize. But if we go back up, you'll see the section here where you can search for a specific market center. So you can either search by market center name or number. So I'm just going to type in a random number today. Once you select one, you can go ahead and hit preview. It will pull up an image so that you can make sure that's the correct logo that you're looking for. And from there, you can go ahead and download that. Now, once that is downloaded, give me 1 second here. Once that's downloaded, you're going to want to extract the contents of that folder. And then you should be able to access that new folder. Now, oops, dragging a little bit weird. Once we've done that, you'll notice that within that folder, we have a couple of different folders. Now, the primary 2 that we're going to take a look at is the black and white and the CMYK. If we click on that black and white folder, you'll notice that we have some different logos within that folder. So we're going to have a few different formats as well as a few different colors. Based on the different kind of design we're creating, we may want in all white or, in all black. There also is this one with the white background behind it that will stay there, whereas these are transparent backgrounds. Now, if we go back, we also have that CMYK. Now that is going to give us our various colored logos. So the red and gray, the red and white, as well as the different formats as well. Now, once we go back to command, I will show you guys how you can quickly go ahead and add those. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I like to always add a new folder because I'm always grabbing new logos. If we go here, we can go ahead and upload. We're going to select from my device. And from there, we're going to find my folder. There it is. And I'm going to grab those various logos. So I'm going to go ahead and open those. I'm going to go ahead and click add more because I want to go ahead and upload them all at the same time. Now, once I have all 7 of those various logos, I can go ahead and upload. And now I have all of these within my assets where I can easily pull those logos into my marketing. So again, just makes it a lot easier, a little more streamlined for you guys. Elements, if you were to have any elements that you wanted to use, such as those symbols before, you can put those here. Same for any videos you might be using on a regular basis and any files, PDF that you may be using on a regular basis. So those are your assets. Again, the reason we go over that, it just makes you creating your marketing pieces like your print marketing a little bit more streamlined and easier to maneuver through. From there, what we want to do is take a look at the templates. So we're going to be creating and actually it took us to projects. We're going to be creating a flyer as well as a listing presentation. So once we're in templates, we get to kind of look at all of these various categories and determine what type of flyer we're creating. So if we take a look at listings, you're going to notice that there's some subcategories: coming soon, for sale, just listed, etc. Whereas if you're looking at buyer, you're going to have a few different things. If you move down to like business basics, you can find email signatures, business cards, things like that. We do cover those on a different class, so if you want to check those out, you can. For today, though, like I said, we're going to focus on creating a flyer and a listing presentation. So we'll go ahead and do a for sale sign. Now, once we determine what type of flyer we're creating, you'll notice up here at the top, you have some different categories again, depending on what type of marketing you're creating. So if we're creating print marketing, we're not doing a social post. So none of these would probably apply. Now you could print a door hanger, so that is a possibility, but you also have flyers, postcards, bifolds, trifolds, and then a different size of bifolds. We're going to take a look at just the letters today. Now determining that helps a little bit because it will determine the size of the image you're using. If you're trying to print a full page flyer and you select a social story or social wide, it's not going to print correctly. So your best bet is to determine what you're doing first and then filter that down. So once we select flyer, you'll notice it gives us some different templates that we can use. Now, this is not to say that if you like one of the open house flyers, you can't use it for a for sale or vice versa. You kind of get to make these your own, whether it is technically created for that or not. You get to kind of, make it. So you get to kind of pick one here. I'm just going to randomly select one. We're going to use this one down here today. And to get started on that, I just clicked the use button that popped up when I hovered over it. Now, if you're new to designs and you haven't used them a lot, sometimes these will pop up. I've been into designs a lot, so this is popping up. Maybe they've just recently made some updates. That's always something to be aware of too. If you see a new pop-up, it may be because there's something new going on. And that's what this one kind of looks like. So it's going to give us that little button. So now all we want to do is start editing this. We want to put our own information, our own logos, all of that kind of stuff. So we'll just start up here in the top corner. The first thing we did is select the logo. Now, once we're selected on the logo, it did bring me to logos, so that is perfect. You'll notice we have the workspace. Those are going to be those KWRI provided assets that we were taking a look at. So if we were going to those folders, we would find those same ones that we just took a peek at. If we click on My Assets, though, I can find the ones that I just uploaded. And from there, I can determine which one looks the best on my flyer. So if I were to use this one here, obviously that's not going to work because you can't see the lettering. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. To replace that in that exact box though, all I did was hit this double arrow. If you hover long enough, it will say replace image. And if you click on that, it's going to put that logo or image into that exact same space that it was already in. Now that's not to say I can't drag and make that bigger if I want to, because the space does allow for it. But it will put it in that exact little space. Same for if I make it bigger, it's going to fill that in the same way. Moving along, the next thing we're going to take a look at is the headshot down here. Now, as you can see, when I click on the headshot, it didn't immediately take me to images. It's not going to do that usually. So you would need to click on that. And then from there, again, you're going to see what we saw before. So we have stock images. Then we have the KWRI provided stock images. If it loads, there it goes. So these are the ones we were taking a look at in the assets section. And then we have my assets. So from there, I can do the same thing. I can swap the headshot out. Now, if it's really little and I don't like how it looks, I can always double click on it and I can zoom in a little bit, make Scott a little bit bigger in that box. Once I'm done, I hit done. If I still don't like how small that image is, I can definitely drag that photo and make it bigger. Again, kind of up to you on the customization here. The only thing we recommend is make sure you're following your compliance rules. So if you're not sure of those, make sure you check with your broker in charge or compliance coordinator, somebody like that in the office. Once the photo is there though, and we like how it looks, we can go ahead and continue moving on. Now, say we didn't like this photo at all, we want it to be a bigger size. We can go ahead and add this photo and then adjust it. So it is a little bit bigger of a square if we were to do it that way, but totally up to you. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. And I just used the delete on my keyboard. The next thing we want to take a look at is let's go ahead and replace this photo back here for the listing. So we're doing a for sale. We're going to take a look at the KWLS for this. So once we select that, we can go ahead and start searching. So you can search for your property based on the listing address, the MLS number, KWLS ID, the listing agent, or the co-listing agent. Now, we generally recommend to use the MLS number. The reason for that being is that this is pulling from every MLS, so it is going to be a little bit more precise if you're using an MLS number. I did go ahead and just grab a random MLS number this morning for us to use. Now, once we do that, as you can see, since I'm searching by the MLS number, it's pulling up that exact listing. If I were searching by the address or something like that, it may pull up a few options to pick from. Not a huge deal, but just makes it faster. If I go ahead and hit select, it's going to then show me all of the photos from the MLS as well as all of the listing details. So I can easily pull in all of that information into my flyer without having to download it, save it, go back and forth between sites, etc. So just makes it a lot faster, a little bit more streamlined when you're creating it in here. Now, if we go back to photos, since I am clicked on the photo for the flyer, if I want to decide on whichever photo I want to use today, I can go ahead and do the same thing as before and hit that replace with the double arrow. And it's going to perfectly put that photo into that space. Now, again, I can double click on that and I can adjust it. I can zoom in a little bit if I want to. However you want that to look visually, you can go ahead and adjust it. Once you're done, anytime you've had to double click on an image to crop it or zoom, you do need to hit this done button. It's essentially your save in this section. So as you can see, I'm kind of a little bit low there. We'll bring it up a tiny bit more. And that's perfect. Now we can go ahead and do the same thing with the photos in the house. We can go ahead and replace those. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one. No, let's do this. And then we'll swap that one. And again, it's putting them in that perfect little square. Now, if you need to zoom in, you can use the plus sign down here so you can see those a little bit better. Same for when you kind of start messing with the text. Zooming in just helps make it a little bit easier to see. We do get questions sometimes about this over here, these dots or design. It is a whole big square. If you don't like it, you can't delete it. It's totally up to you on that. Some people like it, some people don't. Next, we can go ahead and start editing our text. So again, we can pull in the information from the listing details. You just have to find the correct one. So current price, we're going to go ahead and type that in. Now that's not to say once you put it in, you don't need to maybe edit it. As you can see, it put it in a little bit differently. So totally up to you if you want to leave that or edit it. You can also change the text alignment if I want this centered. If I want to change the size or the font, anything like that, I can certainly change all of that up here. Also, if you don't want to swap the text and you just want to type over it, you can certainly do that by double clicking on the text and it will allow you to start deleting. You can also click on the text box that you're interested in and find the little typewriter up here. And that will open a separate box for you to go ahead and make changes to in here. And then once you're done, you can hit save changes. There's a few ways to edit those, just depending on your personal preference, basically. Moving along, we can go to the address. So if we want to pull that in again, we can go ahead and hit swap. As you can see, it's pulling in a little bit more information than what was previously there. As you can see, it didn't have quite as much, or actually it has all of it. It's just not all spelled out. So you can certainly change this. If you don't want it to be all capital, you can edit that. And in these cases, it may not be where you want to replace the text. You may just want to type over it instead. I'm just going to go ahead and delete the rest of the text. And we're just going to leave it like that. Now, if we were to move over here to the bedrooms, bath, and square footage, this is where it can kind of get tricky and you may not want to use the replace. So this has multiple different pieces of information in this one text box. If we were to try to replace the bedrooms information, it's going to replace that entire block with that one piece of information. So this is one of those situations where I would recommend just typing over that versus swapping the information. Let's see, we got 6 bed. And then we're just gonna do 5 full baths. We're not gonna put the half. And let's see, square footage. All right. So again, not always the best option to replace, but for certain things, it's going to work a lot easier. That didn't save, huh? There we go. All right, so moving along, you can go down here to the description. And again, it should have that information in here. However, you may not want to copy the whole thing. You may just want to pull in certain pieces of information. Let's take a look. I think it's this one. Yeah, so as you can see, if we were to swap that, it's going to pull in a lot of things. So you may want to, in this situation again, just pull in the important pieces that you want to advertise on that flyer. Moving along, we don't need to edit the contact me unless you're wanting to. That's totally optional. You could delete this and add a QR code for your website or your app if you wanted to. Or you can add those somewhere else, totally up to you. Next, we get to name. So if we go back to text, this is going to be in my assets up here. However, I have my information and not Scott's. So we are just going to put in his information by typing. We'll just put Scott Leroy. And then again, this is going to have 3 fields. So another situation where it's not always ideal to replace. And it's just a little bit easier to type. So scholarlymarketing.com. And we will do support. Oops. Guys, if you have any questions while we're going through this, feel free to drop those in the chat. I'll either take a look at it or we'll come back to those at the end. I'm just going to grab the phone number off here. I do not have it memorized. Paste. And then as you can see, that box went from 1 line to 2. So I can definitely stretch that out, make it all fit on 1 line again. Can also resize it if I need to. Let's say we want to change Scott's name and make it a little bit different. Let's do this one here. We could make it bigger and move it up. These are, again, personal preferences. These designs are just a starting point. That's not to say you can't customize them, change fonts, colors, etc. Even this red box, if you wanted this to be a different color, we want to do the blue, same for this. You can change all of that. If we want to make this the same color, as you can see, it's pulling from one of my templates. I can change that palette based on what I'm doing. So if you had set your own palette, you can definitely switch that up here. Again, that's just one of the perks of why those assets really come into play. Now that I've changed all that, I don't love the red on there, so we're going to switch that out. And now if we're all done and we're satisfied with how this looks, I don't know why it keeps putting the Orlando back in. Maybe it's because I swapped it. Let's see if I just put that. We'll just delete this box and add a new one. So if you do something like that and you need to add a brand new box, you just come to text, you're going to go to add, and then I'm going to do title. It's going to make it really big, but that's not a problem. I can resize that. So once that is ready, I can go ahead and make that much, much smaller. Put that in here. We still need a tiny bit smaller. That's good. Change our color. We're going to do white for this one. There it goes. And we went ahead and edited that. So that's adding new text. Let's see a couple questions. Where do you find the QR to put in? If you want a QR code created, I'm sorry, we are happy to create that for you. Email us at support@scholarlymarketing. Send over the URL, so the full URL up here that you want to use. So if you're creating one for your website, you just grab that, email it over, and let us know you want a QR code, and we can create that for you. How do you move your announcement from designs to publish in a campaign? So Deborah, we have another class on email campaigns, which goes over that. So you can definitely check that out. Or if you want to email us, we do have a tip video that goes over how to add a social design to an email campaign. And that would help you get through that. If you want a sticker, if you're here at the end, I can definitely drop that link in the chat as well. Once we're happy with this flyer though, and we're all done making changes, the next thing we want to do is download, or you can order prints. So if you want to order prints and print them, you know, anywhere locally, you can do that by downloading, or you can order prints through them. There's a couple of ways you can download this, either by PDF standard or PDF for printing. The only perk to the PDF for printing is that it's going to give you those bleed lines to make sure that nothing's getting cut off from your photo. So once we're ready, I'm just going to go back to the regular PDF standard and we're going to hit download. You should notice in a second, it will start downloading over here in the left corner. It's usually pretty quick. We do occasionally see it delayed or stalled, so usually they're doing an update with command when you see that. And it's best to just be patient or try back. Once it's downloaded though, we can go ahead and open it up on our computer. We can print it in the office or wherever else we'd like to print it. As you can see, I have it right here. If you also wanted to use this as a social piece, you can download it as a PNG. There's no reason that because it's a flyer size, you can't also use it on your social media. So totally up to you there. As well as you'd want to download it as a JPEG or PNG for putting in an email campaign. So just keep that in mind. Once we are done though, we can name this. So I'm going to do a flyer. Oops. And I'm just going to put today's date so I know what day I did this. Once we're all done though, we can go ahead and hit done. In command, done is going to be your save in a lot of places, but it will also prompt you to go ahead and save that. Now from there, it should close out. And as you can see now, it's right here in my designs. So if I made a mistake or I need to edit that, or let's say I just want to use that exact same flyer for another listing, I can certainly do that by either editing this one or making a copy to edit it for another listing. Totally up to you when it comes to that. Now I have two. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the buyer presentation and listing presentation. In order to get to those, we're going to do the same thing. You could go to import design, but since we're here, we're going to go ahead and hit create a design. And again, we're focusing on print today. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at. We do have classes on the others if you're interested in those. Steve, we would recommend saving it and then resizing it. And again, if you hang on to the end, I can definitely come back to that question and drop in a tip video for you. Now that we're going to take a look at the buyer, we're going to peek at the buyer presentation. We're not physically going to edit the buyer presentation today. I just want to make sure that everyone knows where to find it and how to edit it. So buyer presentation is going to be under buyer, and then it's the buyer presentation. Once you get here, you'll notice that there are a few different options for that. It's just kind of cosmetic. They have the same things within each of them. So it's just your kind of personal preference. And again, same as our flyer before, colors and things like that can generally be changed as long as you're within your compliance for your local area. So if you were to pick one, we can go ahead and hit use. And then it's going to be the same as when we're looking at the buyer presentation. So again, we won't really mess with this or edit any of it, just kind of how to access it, pages, go through, edit it, etc. But let's go ahead and go back now that everybody knows how to find that and access it. And we're just going to go ahead and take a look at that listing presentation. Same thing, it's under listing presentation. There are 5 templates. Booklets are the only option for these. And you'll notice when I hover over it, it will start to change the page. So you know that it has multiple pages by that. You'll also notice in the top left corner, it has a 9+, and it looks like it has a stack of pages. That lets us know that it's a multi-page template. There's more than one page to it. All of them will kind of do the same thing. Once you decide which one you like the best, you go ahead and hit use. Now, unlike the flyer that we just did, we're not going to edit this entire booklet. The reason for that being is that there are 29 pages, and a lot of it is customized based on you, the agent. You will find as you're going through these, you do want to go through every single page and make sure that there's nothing on each page that needs to be edited. So listing presentation template, you probably don't want to print this out and take this to a listing presentation with it saying listing presentation template. You may want to change that. Put the address of the listing you're going to or something along those lines, however you want to do that. If you go to the second page, you're going to notice it's instructions. So again, something you don't want to print out and take to a listing. because it's literally telling you how to edit this template. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that so you guys know how to do so. If you click or hover over this page over here on the right and hit those three little dots, it's going to allow you to delete that page. Now you could leave this here and completely edit it, but I'm just going to go ahead and delete it for today. Now, this is probably what I would keep as my front page, so I would probably delete this other one, but again, that's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and delete it for today. Whoops, I clicked the wrong button. Delete. Yes. Now we have 27 pages. So this is where I can put the client's name. I can put in that it's compliments of myself. So if we put Scott Leroy, we can go ahead and start swapping out all of our information. So assets, go ahead and swap Scott in there. Now again, it's going to make that box a little bit, it's going to wrap the text, so I just need to edit it. We'll go ahead and do support at. Again, it's wrapping my text because it's just getting too big. I already have the website in there. I can leave the kw.com, but I'm going to go ahead and remove it for today. I'm not going to edit the phone number. We don't need to do all of that. But also, if you don't like how this looks and you want to change it around, you can certainly do that. We do want to make sure the logos are swapped out everywhere that there is one. So definitely make sure you're kind of going through this whole packet with a fine-tooth comb. You don't want to take this to a presentation and have information that doesn't belong. So we'll put our client's name, fake name. Next, we go to the next page. It's going to go over kind of like your outline of the booklet. Then you have the property. All of this, again, you would want to start editing. You have the snapshot, what's happening, what buyers are looking for. All of this you would either want to edit if it applies to you, or remove the page if it doesn't apply to you. Comparable properties, you'd want to plug in that information. Your needs come first. This is for your client. We keep going. The process. So this is something that could be different based on each person. Just kind of check that out. If you need to delete these squares, you can certainly click on them and delete those. Or you can add additional text. Next is going to be the custom marketing plan. So again, make sure anything you're including in here is something that you're doing or do for clients. Next one's finding your buyer. You'll notice that a lot of these you don't have to edit. It's just if it pertains to you or not, if it's something you do or don't do, either remove the page or edit it. Best in class promotional assets. So this is just going over some of the benefits that you as a KW agent have. Your social media plan. So you can kind of give them that. It's your custom marketing plan. So again, if it's something you do or don't do, kind of make sure that's edited. Strategic promotion, another one where you'd want to make sure to edit based on what you do or don't do. Coming soon campaign, just listed campaign. Then we have open house strategy. So some more information on that. You can certainly swap out these photos if you don't like them or want to change them. It's all in the details. So eye-catching yard signs, high-quality photography, engaging videography, mass mobile marketing, door knocking, your listing amplified, all of that good stuff. Moving along. They used to have the DBA logo on a lot more pages, and you had to really make sure you edited every page. They've kind of done away with that. Again, you just want to make sure that you're not missing anything. So swap out that photo. You want to make sure you change the information here if needed. This is real experience, real expertise. Oops, I didn't change the name, so that's okay. think we froze up for a second. There it goes. Proof is in my numbers, so you can go over some of your numbers. If you're a brand new agent and you don't maybe have these numbers, we do sometimes recommend asking your market center if they have numbers you can use for these type of things, or you can remove them. I believe there's another one down. This is the same thing. You can usually use some of KW's credentials and awards. However, if you have your own, definitely include those. Leading the industry. Portfolio of excellence. This is one if you're a brand new agent and you don't have any, you may want to remove that page. Another one here. Featured listings, same thing. If you don't have any testimonials that you've had from past clients, this is a great way to add those in. Again, if you don't have any, you can certainly remove the page. It can always be added later on. A promise. And then we just have a few more pages. As you can see, there's not a ton, but do read through these because you don't want to leave something in that doesn't need to. Selling safely. The bottom line. My app. So this goes over the new KW app. You'd want to make sure you put in your branded QR or your branded link there. Or like I just said by accident, put in a QR code here where they can scan it and say ready to download, put the QR code. Great way to include that. That way they can just scan it. Your information, how they can get in touch with you. And then that is the end. We'll go ahead and swap this out. Once you're done making the edits to your listing presentation, you can download that. It's going to ask you all pages or not all pages. This is where if you didn't want to delete the testimonial page because you want to add it back later when you have it, you could just decide to skip that page. I think it's this one here. So that I'm not removing it so that I don't have to recreate it or start all over, but I could go ahead and just remove it. Once I'm done though, again, PDF standard or for printing. And then from there, we go ahead and hit download. Now, when we're in something like this, I also like to show the way to send it as a digital booklet. So let's say you went to a listing presentation and you left them a paper copy, but I don't know about you guys. I'm really good about losing paper copies of things. So if you wanted to share this with them in an email as well after your listing presentation, if you click this little share button right here, and then we make sure this says anyone with a link and copy that link. If we were to send this over in an email to them afterwards, they could then access this as a digital booklet. So I always love to show this because they can just flip through those pages and view them on their phone or computer, whatever's easiest for them. And it's a little bit easier to find if they misplace the paper. There's also these three little ones they can download or print again if they need to. They cannot make edits from this link, so you don't have to worry about that. This is just for them to view it as a digital copy. But once we are all done and our listing presentation is edited and it's perfect and exactly how we want it, we can go ahead and hit done. And then we can, once it's downloaded, we can of course pull it up and print it the same as we would the flyer or anything like that. And of course, it's still here. So if I need to come back and make edits to it for the next listing presentation, again, I can make a copy or just edit that one right there. That is the majority of our class for today, covering everything we wanted to cover. I will hang around for questions. If you don't have any questions, I hope that this video was helpful, this class was helpful, and I hope that you will join us again for another class. I will go ahead and stop record so we can go through some questions.